COVID-19 cases have been rising in Jamaica. This is Undiluted News. Mikey Bones reporting. The island is currently seeing an increase in positivity rate for COVID-19. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton has admitted that the island is experiencing an uptick in COVID-19 cases. Over the past 4 weeks, there have been an average of 87 confirmed new cases. Speaking in House of Representatives on Tuesday, Dr. Tufton responded to concerns raised by the parliamentary opposition about a surge in new cases in St. Thomas and other parts of the country. Dr. Tufton is now urging Jamaicans not to panic over what he terms the slight increase in COVID-19 cases, but to protect themselves against the virus. Senator Gavin Gale, President General of the Bustamante Industrial Trade Union, is questioning claims by business leaders that the country is experiencing a shortage of skilled labor. Some business leaders have suggested that the country should explore importing skilled laborers to fill vacancies. But in an interview, Mr. Gale argued that low wages in the private sector is what is forcing skilled workers to seek jobs elsewhere. He said the situation has placed the private sector on the back foot in terms of not only looking at compensation, but looking at the terms of conditions of employment and the environment to which they are employing workers. The Haitians who recently landed in Portland have been relocated to St. Mary as they await processing by the Passport, Immigration and Citizenship Agency. The 37 Haitians, including 8 children, were picked up by authorities after coming ashore at the Boston Beach in Portland on Monday. Superintendent Babette Morgan Simpson, head of the St. Mary Police, said several agencies are participating in the treatment and care of the Haitians. Superintendent Morgan said a decision on the next step will be taken once the migrants are processed by PICA. 3 people were taken into custody in connection with the siege of a rifle during a targeted raid in the Johnson Pen area of Spanish Town in St. Catherine on Sunday. A magazine containing 5 5.56mm rounds, a motorcycle, 2 boxes of unlicensed cigarettes, and half a pound of ganja were also seized during the police military operation. The serial number on the rifle was also erased. Meanwhile, Jamaicans for Justice has expressed dissatisfaction with the more than $4 million awarded to a businessman, Kurt Mitchell, whose constitutional rights were found to have been breached under a state of public emergency in St. James 3 years ago. Mr. Mitchell, who operates a car rental business, was detained for 20 days before he was released without charge in July of 2020. And in her judgment handed down last month, Justice Andrea Pettigrew Collins said there can be no question that the manner in which Mr. Mitchell was treated is the result of a grave misuse of state power. Jamaicans for Justice Executive Director Michael Jackson believes that the court should have awarded a higher compensation to Mr. Mitchell for the violations of his rights. He filed a lawsuit on December 8 of 2022 alleging false imprisonment and that the police acted maliciously, unlawfully, and without reasonably or probably cause. He was seeking in total more than $10 million in damages. Mr. Jackson said some people who believe their constitutional rights were breached under the state of public emergency are afraid to seek redress through the courts because they are being intimidated by law enforcement officers. She said the Human Rights Lobby Group has received a number of these reports, which it documented in its State of Justice report in 2022. A number of clients, she said, had said it to us, I don't want to bring the matter forward because law enforcement officers have visited their homes and threatened them. The police have charged the Roman Catholic priest accused of sexually assaulting a 12-year-old girl in Portmore in St. Catherine. He is Lawrence Movenji, priest of the St. Francis Xavier Roman Catholic Church, which is located at Christian Pen in Portmore, and he's said to be from Kenya. Father Movenji was charged on Monday evening with having sexual intercourse with a person under 16 years old, sexual touching of a child, grievous sexual assault, and abduction of a child fewer than 16 years. And it's alleged that the child, who is a member of the church, was befriended by the priest. On March 19, he is alleged to have sexually assaulted her at his residence on the compound. The incident was reported to the police on June 24th, and an investigation was launched. In some of those countries, it is normal for big men to have girls as young as 10 years old as their concubines, but in Jamaica the age of consent is 16. Anything below that is considered rape, so he's gonna go to jail unless the money gets a chance to run and that case gets to disappear. Sometimes these cases get disappeared in Jamaica. A policeman who was accused of sexually molesting a minor pleaded guilty in court on Monday. Sergeant Christopher Bennett, who is attached to the Kingston Western Police Division, pleaded guilty to 1 count of rape committed against a 16-year-old female student on June 17 of 2019. A charge of abduction brought against Sergeant Bennett was dismissed, however, by the judge following a no-case submission by his attorney, and he is to be sentenced on September 4th of this year. On to sports in Gold Cup, the United States will face a rising Panama this evening at 7:30 p.m. and Panama is itching to upset the US. Anyway, the winner will meet either Jamaica or Mexico for the regional title, and the US men's team aim to complete a Confederation clean sweep after raising the Nations League trophy last month. However, anything can happen in this game this evening. Meanwhile, Jamaica's Reggae Boys head coach Jaime Hallgrimson said that Mexico poses a similar threat to the Reggae Boys as Guatemala, but at a higher level. The Reggae Boys and Mexico will meet in the CONCACAF Gold Cup semifinal in Paradise, Nevada this evening, and Hallgrimson said he paid attention to the opponent's style of play when he watched their 2-0 win over Costa Rica in the quarterfinals on Saturday. He said they're a high-tempo team that can transition well from defense to attack, much like he expected of Guatemala, who Jamaica defeated 1-0 on Sunday. Hallgrimson, however, has previous experience with Mexico, having played to a 2-2 draw with them in Mexico City in the CONCACAF Nations League in March, and this was his first competitive game with Jamaica. But Jamaica and Mexico do have a deeper history as it regards the CONCACAF Gold Cup. Jamaica finished runner-up to them in 2015 final, losing 3-1. They met again 2 years later in a semi-final, with Jamaica winning 1-0 through a Kemar Lawrence free kick. They then went on to lose 2-1 in the final to the United States. Tonight's game kicks off at 10 p.m. and my prediction for this game is going to be Jamaica 2, Mexico 1. And if you ever miss the news on this radio station, please go to YouTube, type in Jamaican Undiluted News, listen, like, share, and subscribe to keep it going. My name is Mikey Bones. I gone.